It's a call to action by the manosphere. 80% of women are attracted to 20% of men. You must trick them because you'll never get them in a normal way.
All right, Adolescence, overrated, lame-ass show, and a blatant attack on masculinity. Feminism strikes again. I kept seeing people and ads speaking about the #1 rated Netflix show featuring Ashley Waters, also known as Asher D. For people who don't know, he was part of an urban music group back in London. It was called So Solid Crew. So Solid Crew was definitely nostalgic for me, and I used to rate Asher D. His music career, his acting, especially in Top Boy. But after this hit piece, I'm beginning to think he's a fraud. So I've seen a lot of other reviews labeling the show genius, saying that it was all taken in one shot. And let me be honest, at the beginning, it was a great show. It was enticing, the first series especially, but as it got on, I definitely thought it was overrated and boring. Literally, series 3 and 4, I could have fell asleep and not missed nothing. Not only was it overhyped, but the show was filled with lots of subliminals. And like I said at the beginning, a blatant attack on masculinity. Now let's dive deeper and expose the true agenda behind Adolescence. You guys are probably thinking, how is this an attack on masculinity? Well, let's start off in the show where they mention Andrew Tate shit, red pill, manosphere. And they make out that the manosphere and the red pill is against women. Even though the red pill space highlights the unflattering truths with women, it definitely talks about how we should protect and provide for women. In fact, in the red pill space, we talk about being stoic and not showing emotions, especially aggressively towards women. In the show, they make out the little kid is a product of the red pill space and the manosphere. But that's in fact not true. He's just a little psycho. That's the truth. If this kid was really listening to red pill content and men like Andrew Tate, he would be in the gym, working hard. Obviously he was at school, but he'd be working on himself. And he'd understand that women like a certain type of character and a certain type of man. Not only did they make out that this little boy killed this girl because of the manosphere, but even in the show, he insinuates that he could have done even worse to her, which basically means grape, right? Which is fucking sickening for the writer and these people to make out that the red pill space is about these things. Reviewers have labelled the show genius, but for me, it's not just whack and boring, but extremely devious. They talk about incel culture, but the government are the ones who are producing these incels. And on to feminism, which for me is the biggest cancer that's ever existed on this earth. Well, since the second wave of feminism in the 1960s, where women wanted to be equal to men and change their roles, we've seen the collapse of not only society, but the nuclear family. Along with that, we've had an increase in women's dissatisfaction. And we have the facts to back this. And in 2025, women are more medicated than ever on antidepressants. You see, feminism sold women a lie. It told you guys that you can go out there, chase your career, and in the end, you will have time to have a family. But in fact, none of that is true. And even worse, they even tell women to pick a career over a man and having children. Well, what does that do? It pulls the woman away from the family, away from her children, and it also doubles the workforce. More tax revenue, right? Which suits the government, but absolutely does not suit us. And what's crazy to me, majority of women, even these feminists, they still want a masculine man. In their personal life and in life in general. If you want a policeman, a fireman, military, what do you want? Do you want a soft feminine man or do you want a strong masculine man? And from interviewing a lot of women don't want to work. They want to work electively if they want something that they're passionate about. They want a masculine man who can provide them resources, memories, and protection. But unfortunately, most women realize this when it's too late. And that's why this show is not only shit, but very manipulative, making out that being masculine is toxic and the red pill content is bad for young men. A lot of you guys watching might be thinking, well, what is the red pill? What the fuck is this guy talking about? Obviously, the term red pill comes from the movie The Matrix, where in The Matrix, they were offered 2 pills, one being the blue pill and one being the red pill. The red pill being the truth and the blue pill to live in ignorance.
You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
So the red pill is just based on the truth. The truth about everything. Could be dating, nutrition, politics, government, literally everything that has to do with the truth. That is what the red pill truly is. For me personally, I got into red pill content by being anti-government and realizing the corruption within the elites. You see, the government, they don't want you to be great. They don't want you to be successful or powerful. They want you to be weak so you can obey. If the government cared so much about the young men, then why don't they push positive practices like deep breathing, working out, working on your purpose and finances, eating nutritious healthy food, sauna, sun gazing, and a lot more healthy habits? Because, like Michael Jackson said, they simply just don't care about you. And in the show, they kept bringing up incel culture. Well, why don't we stop incels? Why don't we teach men how to understand women, how to get in shape, look more attractive for women so they don't become incels? Why don't we ban porn and OF, which makes men weak? What even about banning rap? Look, I wouldn't ban rap personally. I believe in freedom of speech. However, I'm sure rap is worse for the young men than the red pill space. Majority of rap, what does it push? Degeneracy, codeine and sipping, killing each other, everything that's negative. Yet we don't want to ban that, but we want to ban red pill content. Make it make sense. You see, here in the US, as of recent, we have pushed back against feminism. However, in the UK, things seem to remain the same. And it seems to me, it's like they want to castrate men. Now, even though this was a UK show and heavily funded by the UK, don't get me wrong, the US was also behind this. In fact, it was produced by Brad Pitt's Hollywood production company, Plan B Entertainment. And as we know, Brad Pitt is a profound libtard who supports Sleepy Joe and Kamala Harris. Now, who wrote this absolute garbage? Jack Thorne. And to me personally, Jack Thorne, he looks a little creepy to me. Him and his missus. Look, the people that always do these crimes, they never look like the Andrew Tates and the masculine men of the red pill, do they? They kind of always look a little bit more like Jack Thorne, let's be honest here. And not only did this waste man write this garbage, but now he wants to see radical action taken on these red pill guys who are actually trying to help the youth. You see, these young men need these masculine role models in their lives, especially when their fathers are not doing the job that they should be. Especially when the celebrity men and the government are pushing degeneracy, porn, not working out, eating foods that are not good for you. You see, the problem is, these young men are gravitating towards masculine role models because they don't have much of them in their lives. And look, they don't all have to be like Andrew Tate. You don't have to agree with everything he says. You know, he made a lot of his money in sex work, cam work, which a lot of people know. But if we're going to shame him for that, then we've also got to shame majority of the attractive women who right now are doing OnlyFans. It can't be one rule for one and a different rule for the other. Young men, find a masculine role model that resonates with yourself. Have lots of different mentors. Like me, myself, I like to have a mentor for my physical, a mentor for my spiritual, my mental, my finances, etc. And lastly, Asher D, you're a fraud, along with a lot of other UK mandem, like Stormzy, like AJ, who lie and negatively impact their own communities. But that's a conversation for another time. Natureholics, until next time, take care. Bye-bye.